Welcome back. Now, in a bid to boost citizens' participation in elections, Nigeria's House of Representatives has passed for a second reading a bill to make voting in national and state elections mandatory for all citizens of voting age. The bill, jointly sponsored by Speaker Tajuddin Abbas and lawmaker representing Plateau State Daniel Asama Ago, was presented during Thursday's plenary as part of moves now to amend the Electoral Act 2022. Leading the debate during plenary, Asama Ago said the proposed legislation seeks to deepen democracy in the country through increased participation and legitimacy in electoral outcomes. The lawmaker cited countries like Australia, Belgium, and Brazil, where the governments have adopted mandatory voting with positive outcomes in terms of political participation and public accountability. Describing political apathy as a threat to good governance and national stability, Asama Ago assured that mandatory voting can significantly reduce the influence of vote buying now. He added that the rationale for this bill rests on the urgent need to revitalize democratic participation in Nigeria. Joining me now to discuss this is political affairs analyst and member West Africa Democracy Solidarity Network, WADEMOS, Omori Aigbe. He joins us from Abuja. Mr. Aigbe, thank you very much for coming on the program. Forcing people, because essentially that's what this means, compelling people to vote. I'm just wondering, what do you make of that?
It sounded more like a comedy. I mean, we haven't even got to the point of strengthening our electoral system. Our electoral system is still being subjected to a lot of debate that there's no electoral integrity. Vote don't count. Malfeasance at the polling unit. Voter suppression. And a number of issues that we need to do to strengthen our electoral system to build trust among citizenry. First, you need people who are even willing to vote before you make it compulsory to vote. If you have made all attempts to create and clean up our electoral system, and you make proposals that to make election compulsory, then people can be to listen that the country has done very well. There is no need that we are spending so much money in our processes and then turnout is low. Yes, the fact of the matter remains that turnout is low, and we have to agree on that.
Yeah.
The cost of election is increasing. People participating in the process are decreasing. In the 2023 election, there was a high level of voter suppression. About 28 million or thereabout turned out to vote. But in Lagos alone, the suppression that took place in Lagos is enough to even argue that you have not even protected voters. You are making them that they must vote. Even the Australia that is being talked about, or Bolivia, or Brazil. But let me stay with Australia. The proposal to make voting compulsory in Australia dates back to around 1915. Even in Australia, there are certain categories that are exempted. One, if you live about 500 meters away from a voting point, you can actually argue that you don't want to go and vote. It's far away. If you are sick, hospitalized, or there is a force majeure on election day, it rained heavily, and you don't want to go into the rain to vote. There are categories. Even the Australia had about 75% turnout of voters. Ghana does not have compulsory voting. The last election, they were even angry that its turnout nosedive, which amounted to about 60%. Before that time, in 2020 election in Ghana, it was 74%. No compulsory voting. It is a trust in the system that matters. Rwanda doesn't have compulsory voting. They are going about 94%. What Nigeria needs to do is to build trust. First, trust. A situation in which you have to go and queue up to collect your PVC. Many people, maybe including people who are listening to me now, have their PVC stuck down in INEC offices because they don't have the energy to queue up and begin to if you go to the point of collection of PVC, because INEC does not distribute, you have to come and collect. You have to sign one document. Now that INEC has proposed that the PVC, there will be no need to actually have that hard card PVC to come and vote. which is a very remarkable proposal going forward to try to increase voter turnout. Beyond that is early voting proposal. That there are a category of us, including media organizations, military personnel involved in election day duty, who do not vote by circumstance because they play a role in the election. Early voting can cure that and increase the vote. Even though, I mean, early voting that happens before election, I may not support that. In Ghana has early voting proposal in their laws. But the early voters in Ghana 2024 election was insignificant. It was less than 1%, 0.0%. About 136,000 people registered to vote early in a population of 18 point something million registered voters. So at the end of the day, what does Nigeria really need? One, clean up the system. Let our yes be yes and our no be no in the election. But let's avoid voter suppression.
But let me ask you this. But can you know, this compulsory voting, can it make some difference? Can it make some difference in voter apathy? Is there a chance that it could actually lead to an increase in the number of people who would normally come out on election day to vote?
Fantastic. So in Bolivia, evidence suggests that the introduction of compulsory voting increased the turnout. So you are forcing people wherever you are to come and vote. That same evidence suggests that more people started collecting money to come out and vote. So they will go, from all our evidence, particularly even in Egypt, some research suggests that people who did not want to vote, because you have made it compulsory, they went to the polling unit and trumpeted two parties. At the end of the day, they didn't want to vote because they don't prefer any of the candidates. So they ended up making their ballot to be rejected. So at the end of the day, you have 95% turnout. Meanwhile, the legitimate vote, that is what they call a valid vote cast, does not amount to the 90-something% turnout. So it's a weird scenario. Beyond that, in this country, there are individuals who went to register to vote who were not truly interested in voting. And the question is, how? So you know that INEC registration with the PVC is the only card. In fact, Eze-Nwango has explained this very fantastically well. That card, that PVC card, is the only card that you obtain free and can be used authentically in any. You can present a PVC anywhere, including opening a bank account, including other things. The PVC is an acceptable card and is free. Is the only free card. Other cards, you may argue that NII is free, but I'm not sure you even have the NIM card, because all we have is the slip to date. The international passport, you have to pay for it. Driver's license, you have to pay for it. So there's a huge number of people who have gone to register to vote because they needed a card for other exigency. On that note is on one side. Then there is another category of people. People have died. They are still on that ballot paper. You know, in this country, death registration is almost like, why would you go and register death now? It's almost culturally unacceptable. But how do you clean up a document that is about 93,000 registered voters? And we are not speaking to auditing of that ballot to know those who may have died. And how do you even do that? So you have to go and paste the registered voters in the particular location, which INEC does every election cycle. Paste it for claims and objection, but people don't report death. And do you know, if INEC just use reporting of death alone, people can go and report death, because we have also seen in this country where, in an attempt to change a party candidate, they have to go and print the poster, the obituary poster of those candidates, because they need to change them, because the law says for you to change a candidate, the candidate may have to die or something. So in an attempt to change candidate, political party actors went to print burial posters and submitted it to INEC. They went to get a death certificate and submitted to INEC until INEC discovered that it was all fake. So political parties and actors can do anything. They can actually go on the register and begin to list out names who are not in favor of them and report them for that they have died. That's on one side. Truly, there are dead people in the register. And beyond that, in the era of Japa syndrome, how many Nigerians, doctors, teachers, artisans, many people who have fled this country who registered to vote, are you going to prosecute them in absentia? There's a number of things. In Australia, I actually felt bad when I see honorable members making assertion with Australia. Even when we make the US example, we are very careful. Australia is a great democracy. It's one of those democracies that resonates with the countries like Norway, the Scandinavian. These are great democracies that implement the will of the people. These are democracies that don't buy votes. These are democracies that don't rig elections. These are democracies without violence in elections.
But then the question is, if compelling people to vote would make a difference in, the turnout on election day, what's wrong with doing it?
No, we don't have a problem with doing it, but you have to take some steps one after the other. You don't give birth to a child today and expect a child to walk. I am saying that there is no trust in the system. You must build that trust first.
Trust first, yeah.
If people come out to vote and eventually their vote did not count, arguably, people say that the 2023 election, the expectation were cut short midway. And most of these category of people may not want to vote. So what do? You create an incentive. You can put penalty to say if you don't vote, why are they not using the Australian model? In Australia, it is on taxation, not on penalty, not 100,000 naira when you don't vote. So why can't we follow Australia to say if you don't vote, you will not enjoy government incentives? You and I know that people will just not vote because what government incentive is coming to them? What tax holiday will come to them? I mean, these are issues. If we need to even penalize anything, we should penalize defection of candidates, of elected officials. Penalize. If you defect from party A to party B, you go for 10 years. Can't we penalize the real thing? How can people queue on the line and vote for you under party A? Soon, you move to party B. And you are coming back to say you criminalize the people for not voting. Sometimes I'm just curious to understand what this. There are many laws that can improve our elections. One, right. It is time for Nigeria to move to electronic voting.
Yes, I
am not talking about internet voting. Most people always talk about when you mention electronic voting, they quickly rush to internet voting. Hacking, this, that. See, there's electronic voting that requires voters to turn out at the polling unit.
Yes, I have seen that in the US.
Vote, in 2018, I mean, in the US, there's a model and there's also the ballot paper.
Yes.
But there's trust in the US. And that's why sometimes I'm curious not to use the US model, just like the way I'm avoiding the Australian model. In the US, there is trust. People post their ballot from Afghanistan to the US, and it counts. People post their vote. You post your ballot from Nigeria to the US, and it counts. If you post ballot from America to Nigeria for a Nigeria election, I'm sure that you and I will not allow it to happen. So, an electronic voting in this that will enhance trust is one. Go to the polling unit. Once you cast your vote, you get a paper ballot tray, and still put that ballot paper in the ballot box. You can only do with internet when you have done with the results the recounting. Make sure that they want the result, the ballot on the box align with the vote electronically. When that is done, party officials, police, observers agree that this is the same thing. It tallies. You write the result on the form EC8A, and you transmit that from EC8A online. We are already doing electronic mechanism in our process. Just move to the voting. Number one, it will reduce cost. We have had that conversation, Mr. DEJI, if you remember, that the cost of producing ballot in this country should even be criminalized. How can Nigeria waste so much money? And that's the essence of maybe making election compulsory. But rather than do that, we can reduce that cost by simply engaging electronic voting so that we cut cost of printing ballot papers that are not used. But before that, election must be seen to be free and fair. It's a perception thing. A situation in which the president is the sole appointee of INEC leadership does not even create room for trust. And the president, it is constitutional. I mean, we are not doubting it. It's his responsibility to appoint. But we are saying it doesn't even conflict. It's more like a conflict of interest. That the president participating in an election will appoint the referee of the election. But I know that the constitution make that for him, but or for the president, not necessarily because it's President Bola Tinubu today. It is a constitutional provision that other presidents have enjoyed. But historically, we are already beginning to see that it is impacting on our trust system. The president just appointed some national commissioner, about 2 of them. One of them, go and do the background check on one of them. He worked for INEC. He was in charge of logistics in INEC. And now that fellow was in charge of logistics is now a national commissioner appointed by a political actor. What message does that send? These are some of the trust issues. In the U.S., we have never seen INEC declaring an election in the U.S. We have never seen it. In Australia, you don't see an INEC. In Kenya, after the 2018, 2007, 2008 conflict arising for the election, they came back and resolved an issue in their constitution, part of constitutional amendment, to create an independent body for the appointment of their IEBC, that's the Independent Election Boundary Commission.
Okay.
It is not the president that select those who are members of that commission. It is a committee or a panel. The panel is made up from nominees from the government party, opposition parties, and all of that, including civil society. They agree, they advertise the role. That's what makes it an independent National Electoral Commission. The way it is now, it is not truly, because the appointees, the power to appoint persons into that commission.
Let's end it. All right, I'm afraid we just have to leave it there. Omori Agbe, thank you very much for your time, and unfortunately we're out of time. All right, we'll take a short break and we'll be right back. Stay with us, don't go away. Opinions are free, facts are sacred, but truth is universal. How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
President must see himself as the president of the Federal Republic.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On DEJI 360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts, and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians say in this part of the world.
A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it, and use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
DEJI 360, dissecting the issues.